Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, January 26th, 2026. I am Dave Biddle, very happy joined by Dan Rubin. You snowed in, my friend, down there in Dayton, I imagine?
We did the classic Instagram ruler. Had to look for the old fifth grade ruler. 13 inches in the front yard. So not too bad. I think that's about average.
Yeah, we got like right around there in Hilliard. I think the final count was like 12 and a half, right around there. It was funny. It was almost like a little like competition, so to speak, with the different towns in the Columbus area. It's like, oh, London got the lead, and oh no, here comes Upper Arlington. Oh, New Albany, Hilliard. So yeah, my back is a little wrecked, but that's all right. All right, let's get to the topic of conversation today. Mr. Arthur Smith is your new offensive coordinator, Buckeye fans. I like it. I'll get to why I really like it. I talked to an impeccable source yesterday inside the Woody about this. They're happy about it. I'll get to my reasons why I like it. Dan Rubin, do you like it? Why or why not?
I do like it. Let's just say that off the top. He was not one of the names we had chatted about. It does seem like there was a collection of maybe 8 to 10 NFL guys that were interviewing for offensive coordinator, interviewing for head coach. It was kind of like a family tree of coaches you're going through. He's an interesting guy. I mean, he's got an interesting background. The idea that Ohio State, and I know this is pretty simple, going to have two former head coaches as their coordinators. I mean, he's overqualified for the job. Let's not, as much as I love Ohio State football, it's not the NFL. It's a tad more complicated. So, I mean, we've seen this movie before to some extent. Ohio State with the Chip Kelly. I mean, Chip Kelly was not exactly in super high demand when we brought him in here, if you remember. His UCLA tenure was like limping to the finish. Bill O'Brien, I think we were all excited, but there was no parade set for that. It was merely kind of an assumption that someone with those credentials would be competent, and I think it holds the same for Art Smith. He's got a real good background. I think people have gone a little overboard and being like taking his exact schematics and applying them to the Buckeyes. Like, this guy doesn't have the ability to kind of make some adjustments, and I don't get that part, but I'm excited about it. I also, Dave, I think you've been on top of this, that we needed another adult in the room. Arthur Smith may not have been as old as you were hoping for. I think the other guys you were mentioning were a little older, but in terms of qualifications and a model that has worked once before, I think it's excellent.
Absolutely. This is like the profile of exactly what I wanted. And by the way, if the Steelers, and I'll get to, we'll do a little deeper dive on his 2-year tenure with the Steelers as offensive coordinator. And we'll get into that. If the Steelers somehow had a top 10 offense this past year, you know what Arthur Smith would be doing right now? He'd be interviewing for head coaching jobs. Because here's what people don't talk about when they look at the Steelers' offensive rankings this past year. First of all, the Steelers were 15th in scoring in the NFL. So they were barely in the top half. I've heard people say, oh, they're like at the bottom of the league. It's like 15th is not the bottom of 32, but okay. Now, they weren't as good in total offense. They were 24th in the NFL. Not good, but not, bottom of the barrel. There were several teams worse than them. Here's the thing. The Steelers had the cheapest payroll in the entire NFL on the offensive side of the ball. 32 out of 32. So it's easy for me to sit here and argue. I mean, by payroll, they should have had the worst offense in the NFL, period. To get them to be 15th in total in scoring and 24th in total offense, in my book, that's overachieving. They have the number one payroll for defense the last 2 years and dead last in offense, the Steelers did. So I don't know what people like. How are you going to have the cheapest offense in the entire NFL and expect elite results? And again, if he did produce elite results, he wouldn't be at Ohio State as offensive coordinator. Right? I love the hire. His age, you're right. I was thinking about guys more like Monken and Dable. I think his age is makes it even more impressive. I mean, this guy became a successful offensive coordinator with the Tennessee Titans in his 30s. Even became the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons when he was 39. He's 43 years old. He'll turn 44 in May. I absolutely love it. My source at the WAC said, listen, we feel like our passing game is where it needs to be. We need someone to come in here and help with the running game. we obviously didn't like how our running game looked in the Big Ten championship game or the playoff game. We need somebody and throughout the regular season as far as short yardage, goal line. He just checks those boxes, man. He also has experience coaching the offensive line. He was Tennessee Titans offensive line coach before he was the offensive coordinator. He was an offensive lineman himself as a player at North Carolina. His first job as a coach was at North Carolina. Right, he didn't go to the workforce. He didn't need to. His family's rich. But he immediately became a graduate assistant when he finished his playing career at North Carolina. What was he? He was a grad assistant helping with the offensive line. He also has even has defensive coaching experience. But I love his vast experience. I like the fact he's only 43. And I want to say one more thing. When people talk about, well, he didn't really do a really good job as the head coach of the Falcons. One thing my source told me, look at the quarterbacks he's had.
I was just going to say that.
Even in Tennessee. And we love Justin Fields, but 2024 Steelers, they had about similar numbers as they did this year offensively. They were dead last in payroll, but 20-something-ish overall when you combine scoring and total. So we love Justin Fields, but the washed-up Russell Wilson and the Justin Fields, that's not a good situation.
Aaron Rodgers?
And then 900-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Right. I mean,
let me ask you a question, Dave.
And you have the cheapest offense. And look at it. Hold on. Look at his quarterbacks in Atlanta. Anybody jump off the page to you there? And he went 7-10 each year. Not good, right? We wouldn't want our favorite team. Of course, for Zach Taylor, that actually would have been good this year. We wouldn't want our favorite teams to go 7-10 every year. But, okay, people talk about how he's a failure with the Falcons. All right, ask Urban Meyer how easy it is to coach in the NFL as a head coach. Ask Nick Saban how easy it is. Ask Steve Spurrier. These are legendary head coaches in college, not just coordinators. And it reminds me a lot, Dan, I know I'm babbling. I'm going to do a column later on this today. I'm basically just going to say everything I'm saying right here because I have all my notes here, and then it's just, I absolutely love the hire. Kind of lost my train of thought there, but yeah, I mean,
you nailed it and you're passionate about it, which I love. I'm going to ask you a trivia question. I'm not trying to ambush you. Who are the 3 or 4 best players off the top of your head on the Steelers?
Oh, they're defensive players. You're talking about Cam Hayward. You're talking about Watt. You're talking about, I know I'm leaving guys out, but definitely their defense. I mean, they have the highest paid defense in the NFL.
Who was voted by the team as the team MVP?
Was it Cam?
It was Kenneth Gainwell. What position?
Oh, running back. He's a journeyman. He's always been solid. He had a good Super Bowl with the Eagles a few years ago as the backup. But to turn that, they drafted Caleb Johnson in the 3rd round. They were thinking he might be the man. You take a couple journeymen. I mean, Jalen Warren's a decent back, but you take a couple journeymen with the cheapest payroll in the NFL, and you have kind of a decent running game with a quarterback who's I think Aaron Rodgers is. I said he was 900. I think he's a little younger than that. He might be 43. Yeah, man. And then even look at it in Tennessee. And listen, I fully recognize when the Titans had the number 3 offense, when he was the offensive coordinator, I fully recognize Derrick Henry and the offensive line get the most credit. Derrick Henry, future Hall of Fame running back, as we all know, and Titans had a good offensive line. Still, they were the number 3 total offense in the NFL, and nobody wants to give Arthur Smith any credit for that. People are like, well, maybe it was a Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel's a good head coach. Yeah, Mike Vrabel is a defensive-minded head coach. For him to trust Arthur Smith at the age of 37 to run his offense and do it successfully at the age of 37, 38, he was the offensive coordinator. Then he parlayed that into the Atlanta Falcons job. He had Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. Yeah. If you have Ryan Tannehill as your quarterback, it's good where you can just hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. I get it. But, man, he doesn't get any credit. And he did, at the age of 37, had the Tennessee Titans as one of the best offenses in football as their offensive coordinator. He's now here as our offensive coordinator. And he's not coming here to run his offense. He's coming here to enhance the Ryan Day offense. It's not like Patricia, where Patricia came here to run the Matt Patricia defense, period. Nobody tells him what to do. One more thing I'll say. This reminds me so much, and I've talked about this on Twitter and on our site, on the Front Row message board. This reminds me so much of Matt Patricia last year. All these hot takes, people were saying, bombastic takes with Matt Patricia. People were saying things like, I'm a little skeptical, and here's why. That's reasonable. I think our Patrick Murphy had that stance. Could work. I'm a little skeptical. Here are my reasons. That's reasonable. Coming out and just saying absolutes, like Matt Patricia is a horrible hire. This will never work. And people would cite his time with the Lions as head coach. I'm like, yeah, let's just gloss over his 16 years with the Patriots. And then when I bring that up, people go, oh, that was all Bill Belichick. Okay. All right. Yeah, 16 years with the Patriots, 3 Super Bowls. He was the defensive coordinator for 6 years. Most people blasted the Matt Patricia hire. That ended up being a grand slam hire. Now, I'm not saying Arthur Smith will be a grand slam, but I think it's at least a triple, and it might be a home run.
I would think he made good contact off the bat. I'll say that for sure. As for last year, too, ask yourself this question. How malleable was old Mr. Rogers when you were like going over the game plan? Was it like Art Smith, do what you want? Aaron's here to just be at your beck and call. Right. Doubtful. Very doubtful.
They're the same age, by the way. It's funny.
I'll do this. I'll do that. I'm not doing that. I'm not even coming out of putting on my uniform if you put that in. So, let's take that with a grain of salt. And I understand what people are saying, but keep in mind, he's overqualified. That's not an argument. The idea, I love the Buckeyes. I love college football. It's not pro football. That's not a realistic statement to say that like, oh, he's over. So, and we've seen, look, this is not a guy who's been bounced from the NFL. This is not like guys go to college just to rehab their image. This is Ohio State's, people should look at this as a positive. Ohio State's coordinator positions have now elevated to that of perception NFL-wise in terms of lily padding yourself around the coaching community. So I would see that as a positive.
It reminds me a lot of Saban, Dan. It reminds me a lot of what Nick Saban did. And I've noticed this from Ryan Day.
It's exactly what he did.
They even like golfed together here in Columbus when they had the Pro-Am. Like they talk to each other. And I'm thinking, that's a pretty good book to take a page out of. Maybe take the entire book. The greatest of all time, Nick Saban. And you're seeing Ryan Day do certain things like that. Now he's going to move back to a CEO role after he was the CEO. Then I think he expected Chip Kelly to stay 2 years, but the Raiders gave Chip $18 million over 3 years. He didn't even last a year. Now he's at Northwestern. I think Ryan expected Chip to stay for 2 years. Then they win the national title. You have the national title glow, still basking. And then you promote Heartland because you don't want to lose them. But look at that first 4 years of Ryan Day as head coach. Kevin Wilson was here. They ranked in the top 10 in offense every year. They were the number one offense one of those years in college. I believe it was 2021. I'd have to go back and look. And then they drop. The next year, Brian Hartline is promoted in 2023. So Ryan Day's fifth year. He's promoted offensive coordinator, name only. They didn't really have an adult in the room. Kevin Wilson went and took the head coaching job at Tulsa, did a terrible job as head coach there, but that's what happened. They dropped all the way down to the number 48 offense in the country that year with Kyle McCord and, not really having an adult in the room. And they were bad in short yardage. They were bad in the red zone. They were bad, just period, goal line. The next year, they bring in Chip Kelly. And they improve. The total offense wasn't off the charts. They're like the number 26 total offense, still a big-time improvement from number 48. But they were the best team in the country in red zone, short yardage, goal line, the best. And then they revert back this year. They don't have an adult in the room, really. And they have, a bunch of guys that should be position coaches. And Ryan had to basically take over play calling again, is what I was told, even before Hartline left to take the job. And they revert back to being one of the worst teams in the country in short yardage, goal line, running the ball. And I think Arthur Smith is going to help with all that. I know they're excited about it over there at the WAC. I mean, again, I can't say this enough. If somehow he had the miracle of turning that Steelers team with the cheapest offense in the NFL, and he's never had a good quarterback, unless you count Aaron Rodgers. We all know Aaron Rodgers was a great quarterback, not this version of him. It's not like he sucked. But if Arthur Smith turned them into they were the AFC champs, AFC North champs. If he turned them into a top 10 offense, he wouldn't be here right now.
He also, keep this in mind, and I want to give credit to, as I was writing it down, Ben Martin wrote the same thing. You just said Penn State, good God, Pittsburgh, same state. Spent the least amount of money on their offense. So that means technically every game they went into, they had the least talented offense. How many games do you think he's going to go into this coming year when he's got the least talented offense relative to the defense? It's not the same thing, people. Ohio State, and everyone's like, oh, the schedule is crazy. Go look at who's favored in every game. I'm not saying they're going to be favored in every game. The talent level at Ohio State and what you can do versus the NFL, it's not the same. The NFL is governed to try and make it equal, and we just said they spent the least. Remember all those articles written about Ohio State spending the least? Oh, wait a minute, those don't exist. So we need to actually do apples to apples here as much as we can. he's going to have an advantage every time they snap it that he did not have in Pittsburgh.
My source told me, again, an impeccable source told me this will be, and they weren't joking. They were like, this will be the best quarterback he's had.
Oh, facts.
Like right now, not like
facts.
In 5 years, Julian Sand will look back. He was the best. Right now, as a third-year sophomore, this will be the best quarterback Arthur Smith has coached.
That's amazing.
I mean, think about it. Think about who we had. He had the retread Marcus Mariota in Atlanta. Who else did he have in Atlanta? He didn't have any good quarterbacks when he was in Atlanta.
I mean, Desmond Ritter's out of the league, I think.
Desmond Ritter was the one. Yes, I mean,
he was starting.
Was a bust of a pick. That was on the GM. The GM, by the way, got fired. They brought in Matt Ryan. And I think they made a decent head coaching move with Stefanski. We'll see. Browns fans might disagree with me about that. But I think hiring Matt Ryan as the GM and getting rid of the Terry Fontenot guy, that guy went out and signed Kirk Cousins to way too much money. And they said, how about we also take Michael Penix number 8 overall? But that was after Arthur Smith was gone. Arthur Smith would have loved to have Penix and Cousins, comparatively speaking, to what he had to do.
I never was on the Penix. Yeah, I never got on the Penix bandwagon personally. I saw him in Indiana.
Yeah. And I don't like guys that come into the NFL already with 2 major surgeries. Like if you have one, I'm like, all right, you don't want to come into the NFL already in your college life having 2 major surgeries. You're then probably one more away from not being able to play in the NFL. You only get
as a quarterback in the NFL, they get hit.
They do get hit.
One thing, Dave, I wanted to mention that I really like about the hire. I think you can make a pretty strong argument that the end of the Urban era, and there's a lot of reasons you could describe it, was somewhat cronyism. Yeah. And I think this happens to a lot of staffs. When the head coach has been there a while and has to keep hiring guys, they tend to revert to hiring their golfing buddies, and that just doesn't work out.
Best man at their wedding, maybe as linebackers coach?
Possibly.
Random example.
I don't think that's the case here. And I like that. Excuse me, and I like that. I'm sorry. My son hit a buzzer beater this weekend, and I literally screamed for 2 straight minutes.
Go NYU. The NYU women's program is number 1 in the country. How are the men doing?
We actually played this weekend at Wash U, who was ranked 14th. I think Darren hit a buzzer beater to beat them. And then we played at Chicago, which was computer ranking number 1. And he led us to a win there too. So we did really well.
Darren Rubin, NYU. Too bad that school is only focused on athletics. They don't really care about academics.
Yeah, I'll say this.
Maybe I'm thinking of somewhere else.
And people love the NYU digression. NYU's women's basketball team is the best basketball team, including the NBA, all the way down to Division III basketball in terms of being. I think they've won. They're going for the all-time record. I think 74 straight wins.
They're the UConn of women, Division III women's basketball.
Yeah, they're on UConn's run when UConn was at its apex. Yeah. So they're awesome. And the best video of the buzzer beater is as the girls are waiting to all come in to play the next game, and they lose it. So it was great.
Damn, that's awesome, man. I just get a thrill watching. My oldest daughter no longer plays competitive tennis. She's a freshman at Ohio University, but my youngest is a sophomore. She plays tennis, and my oldest daughter was a 4-year varsity player. And I just got so much pride. I still have so much pride watching my youngest. Had so much pride watching them. I couldn't imagine them playing at that level, not even pro, but collegiate level, and doing stuff like your son's doing. I know how proud you are, because that is really, really, really cool. All right, so congrats.
There's nothing better. There is nothing
to Darren
better.
Rubin, and congrats to every Buckeye fan, because we have a good offensive coordinator. I'm just gonna keep yelling from the mountaintops. I promised myself I wasn't gonna be the idiot police on Twitter. It's hard, Dan. It's hard for me.
Hold on a second. Hard. Yes.
Well, read the question so people that are listening to the.
Does the hire help us land David Gabriel Georges? David Gabriel Georges is, of course, the top running back target they have in the next class, a Canadian fella who's prepping in Tennessee. I don't think we are in the days of the hires being that instrumental unless you maybe coach him in high school or you have some connection to him. We should be honest that, look, Ohio State's going to have a chance to recruit any player. And then it's going to come down to what have you done at the position? And then how much can you pay them? That said, I do think if you're from Canada and you go to school in Tennessee to play running back, I think it's reasonable to expect that you're trying to use football to get as far as you can in life. And when the head coach is a national champion and both of the coordinators come from where you want to go, I don't see how that could possibly hurt. Also, let's be honest. There's families that have done good stuff. Arthur Smith's dad started FedEx. And if you have a problem with that, his grandfather started the Toddle House, which turned into the Waffle House. So if your family can sit back and say, look, FedEx is great. His family started the Waffle House.
I know. I've been reading about that. Because you had said, like, yeah, his dad or his grandfather started it. And I was like, well, I think it was because I had read something. The Wikipedia page is wrong, or something else is wrong, because I looked up the Wikipedia page. It said his grandfather started Toddle House, and then somebody else started Waffle House using that. But then somebody else was like, no, he was the co-founder of Waffle House. Regardless, I'm with you. I mean, FedEx, that's cool and all. Made them a billionaire. But man, if you start Waffle House, that's next level right there.
Well, it's also dad,
right?
Son, grandson. These guys, they can do some stuff.
And you're. I don't know if you wanted me saying this, but I'm gonna say it. I don't think you will care. But you have two brothers-in-law that went to high school with Arthur Smith, so Georgetown Prep in Bethesda, Maryland.
Yeah, the biggest picture in here in this room is a picture of my family at my eldest nephew's wedding at Georgetown Prep. And Art went to Georgetown Prep.
A lot of poor kids go there, don't they?
He's no dummy. The offensive lineman going to Oregon, and Iannachu, I cannot pronounce his first name, also went there. Excellent athletics, and not a lot of destitute fellas.
I thought I already loved Daniel Sanchez as much as I could, but Sanchez said, Mrs. Sanchez is saying that her husband's favorite place to go is Waffle House. I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
That feels like we need to have a meeting with we need to have a Team Sanchez Confab headquarters meeting at the Waffle House. They put a Waffle House, literally, Dave, I'm not exaggerating, 1 inch over the border from Oakwood in Kettering. Or it's actually in the city of Dayton, like walking distance. So I've rationalized that if I walk there and eat and walk back, it's somewhat of a yin-yang situation, but there's nothing better than the Waffle House.
So
Thank you, Smith family.
Awesome. One thing I don't like about him, I've just been speaking so well about Arthur Smith, and like, there's one thing I don't like. The mustache.
You didn't see me just do that?
Oh, I didn't. No, I looked down.
You looked down at your notes. I'm like, here comes the mustache.
You knew exactly what I was going to say. Like, yeah, I think the mustache needs to go.
It's a little bit. He does have a little bit of that kind of like big goofball look to him because he was an offensive lineman. Those guys are always a little more girthy in their older age. Yeah, man. But he's obviously, he's been through the ringer, dude. And there are plenty of pictures of him without the mustache.
I know.
Although facial hair, an adjustment in facial hair worked for Matt Patricia. He trimmed things up, dropped a few LBs. If Art Smith comes in here looking all Ozempicked up, then we know that half the reason the guys are taking the job now is for their own physical well-being. So that'd be nice.
It's like when I first started covering the team, Jim Tressel used to make Tressel would run with him. All the coaches would do laps around like before practice. Bill Conley was not a fan of that. And Tressel would have he wanted his coaches to be like in decent shape. He's like, we're coaching football. We can't be like, whatever. And maybe Ryan Day's doing that now. Like, you can come here, but you got to take some Ozempic and work out a lot. Or just work out a lot. Forget the Ozempic. Just work out a lot. Eat well.
When I was coming up, you'd always cover high school football. And there was this race of individual who was about, I would say, between 5'9" and 6'1", between 240 and 270 pounds. And they played offensive line in high school or college, and they wear shorts in the winter because they're just rhinos. We called them rhinos. They're just, you know what I'm saying? This actually happened. One time, field pass, defensive coordinator screaming at his team, basically just drops, like has a mini stroke, hops up and keeps yelling. And I'm like, ew. He was a rhino, though. It was like 40 degrees out, shorts. You know what I'm saying? They got those legs that are tree trunks. So I think we got a little more evolution out of Art Smith. Maybe his education at prep handled that.
And how about, because obviously offensive coordinator position was immensely important. Keeping Patricia immensely important. Some of the guys they got, that decided to come back, like Kenyatta Jackson, Jermaine Matthews, and those guys. Like, but getting the offensive coordinator, like, again, it fits the exact profile that I wanted. I love it. How about this, though? This kind of got lost in the shuffle, and it shouldn't. Gas station ready. Anthony Schlegel coming back as assistant strength coach. I love you. Better not run on the field. People, he will slam your ass to the ground.
Look, there's a lot of pressure on the strength and conditioning program this summer, this offseason, because I think you can make a pretty strong argument that we were probably too young. I was thinking about this. I said it, when we got about 3/4 of the way through the season, I started looking ahead. Ohio State's the only team that was really in contention. By that, I mean like top 25, that's bringing back their starting quarterback, starting wide receiver, top wide receiver, and top running back. That's not a talent issue. That's because everybody had older players. We're the only one that could even possibly do that based on eligibility. I thought that was an advantage. Thinking back on it, it was probably a disadvantage size and weight and height, not height, but age-wise.
Yeah,
I think Bo could use another year in the weight room and another, NIL money. He's going to pay some taxes on that. That doesn't hurt for a little adultness. But I look back at that, the linebacker smashing into him in pass protection. He just wasn't big enough. Julian Sand could really use 15 pounds of Waffle House weight. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So the more we can do that, the better, man. Getting your younger players bigger and stronger and ready for action earlier is certainly going to be more important as the age level of the sport has clearly gone up. What's the average age of a starter 3 years ago to next year? I'm sure there's probably a year or two addition to that, wouldn't you think? So bigger, stronger, faster.
All right. I have a staff meeting at Bucknuts at 10:30, so I need to wrap up this show pretty soon so I can get it up before our meeting starts. Anything else that's on your mind, Mr. Rubin?
I like the fact that Notre Dame lost their defensive backs coach to the Ravens. Was it the Ravens?
Sounds right. Minter just took over.
Mike Minter.
That sounds right, though. If we're wrong, someone in the chat will for sure tell us.
Dayton Wayne grad, Huber Heights Wayne grad, who played at UC, was a 6th-round draft pick of maybe 7th round. Dallas Cowboys, didn't work out. But I'm told, and this is if you read about it, he was really a key to their secondary. So anytime you can weaken the competition, I'm up for that.
All right, here we go. Yeah, Jesse Minter. Did I say Rick? Yeah, Jesse Minter.
Rick Minter.
Rick Minter was the Cincinnati coach that would wear a suit and tie, and then he'd wear a baseball hat too. It was the most unique look. The baseball hat and then the suit and tie. It's like, man, you got to pick a lane, brother.
Keep it up, Rick.
You got to pick a lane. You're doing
Keep it going, Rick.
You don't have like this old school like mesh baseball hat on too. It was always the weirdest look for.
Oh, by the way, sorry. Congratulations to Mike Vrabel.
Yes.
Ravion Henderson going to do the back-to-back, hopefully. And let's discuss this. Is Jackson Smith and Jigba the best football player on planet Earth? Now,
I'm biased towards Jamar Chase, but it's JSN is right there.
So you're telling me 3rd and 15, they're throwing to one of them for your family's life. You'll take Chase?
I mean, Chase came into the league as a rookie.
No. That's not the question. I don't want to.
I mean, it would be a coin flip for me. I'm really like 50-50 on it because I thought Jamar Chase was number 1 and JSN had rose to number 2. Now I kind of have them 1A and 1B. I used to argue with people that Chase was better than Justin Jefferson, and they were like, no. I'm like, yes. I think that's been proven. Look at Jamar Chase's first 5 years in the NFL. He's a dominant force. He's a running back.
I'm not talking about stats. I'm not
talking about stats either. Remember, like people were concerned about in training camp when he was a rookie. Oh, he's dropped in passes.
Oh, come on.
He doesn't drop hardly any passes.
He's
an absolute stud. But so is JSN. It's like trying to pick between your kids. I mean, I love both of them, and they're the 2 best wide receivers in football.
Agreed. Puka's got something to say about there, but I'll say this.
Puka's up there.
Playing with Matt Stafford is good for your stats. Ask Cooper Kupp.
And Puka, I love receivers like Puka Nacua. He's probably going to not last too long in the league because he's so violent. I love like a wide receiver who plays violent. I love it.
Hines Ward in him.
Yeah, like and Deebo Samuel before he got lost a step or 3. I love those wide receivers, and JSN's like that too. And I think we also got him. I mean, JSN probably will forever hold the record for most receiving yards in a bowl game, and it was in the Rose Bowl against Kyle Whittingham in Utah. 347 yards, 347 receiving yards, all-time record in college football at any bowl game ever. You're kind of talking me. You're kind of talking me. Nah, yeah, I agree with brass tacks. Flip a coin. That's what I would do. I mean, it'd be hard for me to pick against my guy Jamar Chase, and it'd be hard for me to pick against JSN, especially with what he's doing now. JSN wasn't great right away because they weren't throwing the ball. His stats weren't great as rookie, and they had DK Metcalf there. They had a couple other receivers that were veterans there. He just needed the opportunity, and that's why he's just – and he had a really good sophomore year too, or, second year, and then as a third-year player, he's just – all right, I better get off here so I'm not late to the meeting. Dan wouldn't like that.
Crack that whip.
All right, good stuff. Congrats again to Darren Rubin, and congrats to all the Buckeye fans out there for your favorite team hiring, in my opinion, a great offensive coordinator for Arthur Smith. And the great thing about sports, everybody has hot takes. We're going to find out eventually it was right. And I love that. Eventually, we're going to find out, just like Matt Patricia. This reminds me so much. I said it earlier. It reminds me so much of what people were saying about Matt Patricia last year. It's hilarious.
Listen, if Arthur Smith comes in here under 200 pounds, we've done something right. I just need,
the weight. I'm not even going to get into that. The stash, I need that to go. We had someone in the chat say he looks like what do you say? He looks like a bad bowler with that stash. I think somebody in the chat said something about bowling. He looks like that's funny. All right. Good stuff from Dan Rubin. Thanks to all of you, live audience. You guys are snowed in. You have nothing else to do. But no, we appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Stay warm, my friends. Go Bucks.